Welcome to the Embers Podcast. We're talking everything Brisbane Survivor, especially we're going to run down the cast and our thoughts. Introducing my co-hosts here, Canberra Survivor 2 favourites we got. Mel.
Hey, Astyn.
And we got the Orca himself, Big James Wolf.
Ahoy, good to be here. Good to be here with two icons and, a season one Canberra Survivor icon like yourself, Astyn.
The best third boot in LRG history, I've heard.
My two favourite boys.
Yeah, well, what can I say? This is we're not going to go too much into Canberra, but we will begin maybe a Brad Baker, Stan appreciation group for his work on Newcastle.
No, we'll get into it. We apologise. James has horrible Geelong internet and has a slight delay in his responses. But we'll do our best here. So, I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Brisbane Survivor. What do you know? What are you excited for?
I'm excited for all of it. Like, it feels like it was filmed quite a while ago. So I could imagine the cast are pumped for it to finally come out. I know what it was like for us waiting that year. I think it's been probably a bit longer for them. So I would imagine that they're really keen to see how the edits turned out and to see it play on screen, because I know we were just as keen to see all the stuff that we knew would be going on but weren't privy to. So yeah, I'm keen. Like I've met Sam previously, such a great guy. So I'm really keen to support Brisbane Survivor and see how the season plays out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's certainly very exciting to see the Australian LRG community grow and, to be able to have one now in Queensland. I could be wrong, but I think this is what's filmed in Brisbane. I could be wrong, though. But it certainly is very exciting. And, yeah, looking forward to, seeing how the product turns out and, especially from our experiences, waiting that time period.
Yeah.
And what the finished product is, it's going to be certainly exciting for the cast and any fans as well.
So,
what about you, Astyn? Because you're in Brisbane.
Well, yeah, the thing, it's. I was excited to find out that there was a Brisbane Survivor, something that I can get involved with, and I don't have to fly back to Canberra. Sorry, Dan, but but yeah, it's good to have something close to home. Very excited to get involved. I'd love to help out in the future. I've had plenty of chats with Sam, and he seems like a great guy. Just excited to see the LRG community grow. It's a community that I, have a lot of love for. And yeah, it's good.
Excellent.
One thing I do want to address is we do have a 10-person cast.
Yeah, quite a small one.
How do you think this will play out? What would you think would be likely in cases of merge situations? Will they swap? How would you run this?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You go first, James.
Yeah, I definitely feel like with such a small cast, it's going to create some really compact and dynamic gameplay, I think. But at the same time, in terms of with the mechanics, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe something like a Redemption Island sort of twist or, way for, players to be able to get back into the game at some point or another. But, yeah, either way, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting product.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that, we all know what a fast pace it is, and with only 10 people, it makes it a little bit easier to get around to talk to everyone. 6 less people that we would have had to talk to. But I feel like with 10 players, I feel like it's going to be a final 2. I could be really wrong. I'm just guessing. I feel like it would be maybe a final 2, and potentially with, I'm guessing, merge at 6. And yeah, I'd be interested to see if there is a swap in there pretty early. So if there was to be a swap, it's probably happen in Ep 3.
Yeah,
Kind of makes a
final
little bit of sense.
8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's a small number, so I think things will happen a lot quicker.
Yeah, for me, I think you run the jury from the very start, right? So
Yeah.
everyone's on the jury from 10 onwards. So in my mind, it's going to be a final 3. That's just my thoughts. That way you got 7 people on the jury.
Good point.
Because 8 people on the jury for 2, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not necessary to have a swap, especially with such a small cast. You could swap at 8 and then merge like at 7. That would make sense too.
Yeah.
Just for that little, one episode of mix up on the teams.
Yeah, it could even be 5 for a week.
Yeah, that's yeah. Like, there's a lot of ways you can run this.
Do you think there's a chance that that potentially there isn't a swap at all? They just have a couple of rounds in the tribes and then they just go straight into a merge. I mean, yourself, Mel, and I, we both saw that when we played. That we're probably longing for a swap, but it didn't happen. But do you think with such a small cast that maybe they'll get to say 6 or 7 and then just merge?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a possibility. Yeah, that would make sense in my mind.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to address is the theme is Brisbane Survivor, the people you know. So it's out there that people on this cast all have connections to other members. It's all been mapped out by Sam, and you can find all that information at Brisbane Survivor on Facebook if you want to see it. How do you think this will come into play?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very interesting theme. I mean, we've seen like the blood versus water format in Australian Survivor, US Survivor, and this is like just taking it to another level. It's like it's pretty much put it on like blood versus water, but then injecting it with like steroids, essentially. It's certainly. I'm very excited because there's so many different connections, different little ways that people know each other. Some people say have more connections than others, but it's all kind of like little intertwined with another. And I don't necessarily think that just because someone knows more people, that's going to hold them in higher regard and to be able to get further in the game. I mean, that could, other players could certainly see that as a threat.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it 2 ways. Like, I think at the end of the day, if you have existing connections, it's that in itself makes you a little bit more comfortable. But I feel like it can also be, thrown back at you, because if you do have more connections and known connections than everyone else, you instantly become like a threat. So, I mean, it could work for them, it could work against them. But I mean, I'm just really curious to find out whether they're all aware of each other's connections. Like, we don't even really know that. So I think that may be a really key point as to whether it works for or against some people.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I think the depth of relationships will matter. if you're a super fan of the game and you've got 7 connections, but they all know that you're a super fan, is that going to be at your detriment?
Yeah, and I think to the level of friendship, because looking at those stats, like I drew myself, and I know James has done something similar, but I was coming back on a flight yesterday and I was drawing myself like a little chart, and I was having a good giggle at the fact that some people have classified people as friends and that same person has put them as kind of know or sort of know. So, and there's a fair bit of that going on. And I will say there's quite a few, there's big gaps in I've kind of given everyone like connection points. So, you know, when it comes to, and I think it's Tyler, is it Tyler or Taylor? She seems to have probably the highest connection points, as does Liam. But then that begs another point we were talking about yesterday, James and I, is like, their exes, so are they actually at a good place? Like, because that, that could really like hurt or hinder them as well. Like, I think rocking up to a game and seeing your ex there, like, if you're not on good terms, you'd be just thinking, oh shit.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed that, even with exes and stuff, there's no, like, children or anything, because we may see, like, a vote out, hey, do you mind just looking after the kids for the day while I just keep playing Survivor? But, yeah, no, I think, the biggest key point thing, like you said, will be whether or not, everyone's aware of who's connected to who, because if they're not, then, that may allow someone like Tyler or, Liam, who have more connections to maybe be able to, downplay some of them in comparison to someone like Nick, who doesn't really seem to be as well connected.
Yeah, right. And it's interesting just looking at the connections on their starting tribe as well, because there's some pretty clear gaps from what I was looking at. And it's just interesting that the ones that, say friend, for example, there's 2 people that classify, 3 people that classify Taylor as a friend, but 2 of them, she says she sort of knows them. So, she's probably got the perceived most connections, and that would probably do her well if she plays it right. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because, there's also a lot of people that say they sort of know someone and that person says they don't know them at all. So I'm not quite sure how that works.
But I think the other really good point is as well, and something to raise. Just because some people that may be friends, someone may have more connections, there seems like a very competitive cast, like, very sporty, very athletic, where just because, to come up against friends, that may actually be like, well, actually, I don't want to work with you. I want to, kick your ass. So, I think there's a danger of us maybe reading into the connections too much in that regard. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting and how it all plays out.
Agree.
No worries. We'll dive in with the cast. We'll start off with the Rogers tribe. That's the orange tribe. And James has insisted that we do it in alphabetical order. So let me just... So the first cast member we've got is Andy.
Yeah, let's go with Andy.
She is a full-time student. Her hobbies is she's a youth group leader. She loves OzTag, hockey, arts and crafts. Claims she's a very social person. Her winning ability is she's very strategic with an abstract mind, very competitive, and will do whatever it takes to outwit and outlast her. Sorry. Favorite player is Luke Toki. And she also put down that she doesn't really like to lie, which could be a bit of a issue. Her connections, Georgia is her brother's girlfriend, I think.
Yep.
I think that's how it was.
Yep.
Also friends with Tyler and Liam.
Yep.
Those are her main connections?
Well, interesting, because I know that she's listed Liam as a friend, but Liam has put that she sort of knows her. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out for her. I actually like her. I think she's got like a really good all-round, like a bit of an all-rounder. Like she's got, she says that she's social. I like the fact that she's got an abstract mind, which pretty much thinks that she'll be able to think outside of the box. She's probably one in here that doesn't mention, I mean, she does play quite a bit of sport, which is cool, but the fact that she's got that youth group leader, I wonder how she's going to go, like trying to not stand out as a leader. Like some people just naturally have that ability, and if she's already working in that, it'll be interesting to see. Like I hope she kind of controls that and not comes off as a leader, because that may not do her well. But yeah, I think she's got a really good, from the info that we've seen, I kind of get a good feel for her. I think she's going to go quite deep in the game.
James?
Yeah. It's interesting, kind of with how she sort of said what sort of some of her strengths are, like, saying she's very strategic, she's a very social person, sort of a leader, but at the same time, she's sort of someone who said that she's honest, doesn't like to lie. So I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like the fact that she doesn't like to lie, she may kind of get caught up being almost too honest to people, to try and maybe not people please, but kind of to really, because she doesn't want to ruthlessly cut them or hurt anyone's feelings. That's kind of the vibe I get. But I also feel like the fact that she says she's also a youth group leader. Traditionally, as we see in Survivor, and hopefully this does not make me sound misogynistic, but the guys on the tribes tend to be pigeonholed as those leaders. So if she can kind of hold back and step back and let the two guys on the tribe like Kyle and Sean, who I think will probably be the two who I think give off leader vibes as well, I think she could go far, but I don't see her going very far personally.
Interesting.
Right. For me, and a lot of this is hedging on connections, but I personally think that from the get-go, her and Tyler are going to be super tight.
I agree.
I think I've got a feeling that they're just going to, bunker down with each other. All they need to do in a tribe of 5 is find one more person.
Yeah.
And they can basically control the vote, in the early stages of the game.
Yeah.
I have this vibe that a lot of the women on this cast are, from their profiles, are the more savvier game players. And I think, one number here or there for the boys gone, and I could really see the girls coming together and really just rolling through everyone. And I think Andy will be a big part of that.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think too, more so on the Rogers Orange tribe, I feel like it's going to be more female dominated. I think there might be a bit of a sway in the other tribe, but I do feel like I fully agree in terms of Andy and Tyler. I think they're going to have a strong connection, and depending on a merge, they're quite connected to Georgia and Haley and Liam. So I think that could be a really strong 5 if they're around at a merge. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit biased towards Orange because of the old Winu, but but I do kind of see Orange coming out on top.
Nice.
Do you feel like the fact that that there's 3 males on orange and 2 females on orange, that the guys might just come, there's a strong possibility the guys just come together and be like, hey, let's bro down and get rid of one of the girls.
I feel like could happen on blue, 100%. I don't think that's going to happen on orange.
Okay, yeah. So,
typically,
but
in allied.
Oh, Astyn, you've frozen a little bit. That's unusual that it's not the orca, but hopefully you unfreeze soon. But do you see it differently, James?
Yeah, I kind of feel as though there could be a possibility. I feel like Sean and Kyle give off the vibes where they're kind of like big sort of extroverted leader those kind of guys. So I could see them pulling in Nick and getting him further, which would be boring gameplay. But I don't think she's the first boot from Orange. But also wouldn't be surprised if that was the dynamic that played out.
Yeah, I don't see Kyle being like a bro down type guy. He's a surfer dude. He's really chill. He's said that in a social setting he tends to be a bit quiet. I think that's a really good strategy, and I think that's going to serve him quite well. But we probably need to talk about that when we get to Kyle.
Yeah, but predicting for you guys.
Yeah. Astyn, you cut out before, so what were you saying before you cut out?
I was just going to say, typically girls, like women, do tend to get voted out early in these kind of games. I don't know who would ever do that, but it does seem to happen.
Yes, Astyn, who would that be? Who would that be? You and your mate Brad?
It's Brad, definitely.
Yeah, well, even on Win You, Mel, you really pitched hard for Sam to go.
Sam wasn't the one that I wanted gone. Thank you very much, and you know that.
But I do think they've got good. It does say they've got connections with Kyle and Sean, and I think because of Nick, because there's one person on their tribe who is unconnected to the rest. I think he's going to be in a bit of strife. So if we were going to give them a boot placement, what would you give Andy?
I had Andy as coming in second.
Okay. I predict Andy. I feel I almost put her as first boot, but I feel like if she does survive the first boot, she could get a little bit further. So I've got her coming at 6th.
Yeah, Kath. At 6. What about you, Astyn?
I think Chanel, but second place for me.
Oh, you did second as well. Ooh, that's a good sign. Sorry, James.
Well, I guess I didn't get the memo in the mail, to put her in second place. So.
No, I just really like her connections. She's not who I think will ultimately be the winner, but I think she's very connected with who I think will be in the top 4. So do we move to the next person now, Astyn?
I think I don't know if my alphabet's good, but this is the second person.
Kyle, yeah.
Hey, welcome everyone to Brisbane Survivor. Learn your ABCs.
Yeah.
What do you think, James?
Is he's a landscaper?
Yeah, I love Kyle. Kyle, I feel like gives off. I love Kyle. I feel like he gives us like a really relaxed vibe, but I do also feel like he's someone who could be a leader and could be an alpha on his tribe, even though he does say he's a little bit quiet. He does look to be like one of the bigger blokes and bigger fitter people on the season as well. Even though everyone is seems to be quite physical, but yeah, I think he's saying that he's also saying his willingness. He wants to be an asset. He's someone who wants to be a main piece in the motor. But he feels like he can use that to, to have his say and slide under the radar, which I think is a good strategy. And the fact that he is a little bit quiet, he could probably be that little bit of a second in command type player that cuts the leader when he needs to, when it suits him, and pull off that unpredictable move when they're not suspecting it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I feel like he's going to have that. There was that guy who in Backyard, I can't think of his name, who claimed to be a gardener. It wasn't his occupation, but, he kind of had that. Yeah. And he had that chilled vibe. I mean, Carl looks like the typical surfer, and I love the fact that he loved Roscoe. What a great legend Roscoe was, Epic way to go out, unfortunately. But I mean, he seems like an all-rounder. His hobbies: surfing, running, climbing, swimming. He feels like he's going to have a really good challenge presence. And I do really like the fact that he's saying he wants to be an asset but not a leader. He wants to be a cog in the machine but not, the actual machine. So I feel like his quiet nature will probably do him well in the game. And I feel like he's going to have that laid back vibe that a lot of people aren't going to find threatening. And knowing that he says he's more quiet, but also unpredictable, I feel like that will get him to a position where he'll earn trust, but then be able to maneuver and not be afraid to make a move when he needs to.
You referenced Stephen. I reckon he reminds me of Canberra Survivor legend Jeremy Hegarty.
Yeah, right. I hadn't picked that up, but I think you're right. He's got the Jesus look about him.
Yeah, he's got that aura, that friendly aura.
Yeah.
I question his game knowledge. He says Roscoe's his favorite player, but is that a surfing thing?
Well, I also wondered whether that just means he only watches Australian Survivor. But I kind of feel like in terms of, I feel like the two girls are going to side with a guy, and I don't think it's going to be Nick. And I feel like Sean is the one that's going to try to be the leader. And I feel like it will be Kyle that the girls will gravitate to, and that will be the top three in that tribe.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So if you were going to give them a boot placement, where would you go?
So for Kyle, I had him I had Kyle at 4.
4.
Yeah. I think that Tyler, Andy, and Kyle will be a tight 3. I feel like when they go into a swap, again, it depends on what will happen in a swap, but if they get to a merge, I think that the two girls are probably going to sway. They will use Kyle potentially to get rid of Liam, because Liam does look like a really strong player. Again, I'm not sure what the relationship is now with Tyler and Liam, who are exes, but I feel like Tyler will use Georgia and Andy and potentially Kyle to sort of annihilate the blue. And I think it'll be I think Tyler, Andy, Georgia, and Kyle are going to be the top 4.
Yeah, I've also got Kyle coming in at 4th place as well. Good to finally see we're on the same page, Mel. But yeah, I get the vibe from Kyle. He's someone that, is that going to be that? I feel like he's someone that, he's going to be like an integral part of an alliance, but not necessarily a leader, that more of a second in command player. But I do feel like that as the game goes on, he might decide to cut him. And he may win a few individual immunities, but then get pipped just for the post as someone sees him as a bit of a threat, whether it's either socially or or things they may have done in the game as well, like going under the radar.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because this is a season where everyone appears to be like really fit, really into sport, and it feels like they're all going to be. You go, Astyn. Sorry.
No, sorry, my thing just went weird. For me, in my mind, this might be overthinking it, but Kyle is listed as friends with Tyler and Liam.
Yeah.
And I feel like, in my mind, he might be closer to Liam.
Yeah, good point.
And so I have a feeling that Tyler might cut Kyle before they get the chance to get with Liam.
That's where I think Georgia will come into it, though.
Yeah. So I've got him as 9th boot.
Oh, really?
Second boot. Sorry, second boot. 9th place, second boot.
Right. Okay. Yep. Oh, okay. We'll see. A bit of a swap around there.
Yeah. So I'm on the off chance for this guy. Let's go to our next player, Nick.
Yeah.
The sales rep.
He looks very serious, and he says he's going to be super competitive.
One thing for me that stands out is he says he actually calls his other contestants dummies. And I hope he can bring that fire in his confessionals. I think we can get some good content from Nick here.
I agree. I feel like I've been trying to work out who's the orca of this season, and I'm torn. I'm really torn between two players. So I think that the cockiness, no offense, James, but I feel like the cockiness of Nick is going to be James to a T. But ultimately, I do feel like James is going to be more on par with Liam.
I think James might be frozen.
Yeah. He's staring off into the vast wilderness. Geelong. He needs to go to Geelong McDonald's.
Yeah, so Nick, I don't get great vibes from Nick.
Yeah.
His connections is a big problem.
Yeah.
His one connection is Sean. And it's not even a really good connection.
No, exactly. And it's his best mate's brother. So he's not even friends with Sean. It's his brother's best mate. And I don't know about you, but like with my siblings, if they've got a mate, I don't like call them my best mate's friend. I just call them my friend. So I don't know how that's going to go for Nick. And apart from that, he doesn't know anyone else in his tribe. And interestingly enough, his sister, Lily, is in the Blue tribe, and she also doesn't know anyone else in her tribe. So I really feel like that sibling pair are going to kind of struggle, although I have ranked Lily a bit higher because I feel like she's going to have a much more natural social game than her brother. But yeah, I haven't rated Nick very, very high, I have to say. Although I do think he's going to be a great character, and I do actually kind of hope he sticks around.
Yeah. What about you, James? What are your thoughts on Nick?
Yeah, Nick, I agree with you guys. Said Nick gives us a big character energy. I think he feels like he has. He seems like the type of guy who I would play 5th grade cricket with on the weekend, and he comes in bowling like off spin. But and then bats at like 7 or 8. Nick. And then I like him as a character. I feel like we're going to get some gold from him in the confessionals. I'm not expecting it to be a long stay for Nick, but I'm expecting it to be a memorable one. With him also being working sales, such as myself, I really feel like he's going to be like a really like vibrant personality. And the fact, picking up on your point with how you were saying quote unquote, I'm going to win this if these dummies don't vote me out early, and already showing that kind of cockiness, which I think may get him in trouble.
I can actually see him saying that out loud to them, and that really backfiring on him.
So I've written down here on my notes like or I'll take.
Are you breaking up, Astyn? Say that again. Say that again, Astyn. You broke up. Yeah, you're back. Yeah. What did you say?
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Down about that quote that he made.
Yeah.
I've got down here foreshadowing either winning game or early boot. I'll take the latter.
I love how he puts ha ha at the end, like, yeah.
I've also got
I really hope he's a great character, because we're all like, I think we're all dying to see whether he is going to be as big a character as we all think he is. Even just the hat, like the hat and the stare.
Yeah,
like,
I'd literally about to say the fedora, the hat, like giving off like big, like mafia boss, like trying to like going to come in trying to like run the tribe, that kind of energy, but then it's going to just blow up in his face.
Pull him up again, Nick. What is that? What's his hat say? Yenda? What is Yenda? Does anyone know?
I think it's a country town.
Oh, is it? Oh, he's a country boy. Oh my God, he's going to be even more of a character. I love it. He's already iconic, but I think he's first boot. I'm really sorry, Nick. I really hope he stays around a lot longer, because I genuinely think he's going to be great value. But yeah, I'm getting first boot energy.
Yeah, I agree. I also do have Nick as my first boot. But at the same time, I also see him. He could either be a first boot, or it could, or it could actually make it all the way to the end and be like a 0 vote finalist. But I think no matter which way it goes, we're going to be, it's going to be one hell of a journey. And I'm all aboard the Nick train. Choot choot.
Is this Orca 2.0? You think?
Yeah, I may as well join the. He's first boot.
Oh, you're your first boot too, Astyn.
Yeah, that's 3 first boots for Nick.
Oh, poor Nick. I feel bad for him now, but God, he's going to have a hell of an episode 1. All right, who's next?
The next person we got, Captain Sean.
Captain Sean. You're already foreshadowing the fact that he's going to be a captain. He looks like the oldest in the team too. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but it is quite a young cast, I have to say. I feel like he's probably of all of them, I'm perceiving him to be the oldest and probably the more mature. And I think my vibe on him is that he's probably a little bit too genuine for his own good. I can see here that he's classified two people as friends when they've both noted him as someone they sort of know. So I feel like he's probably going to think he has closer relationships to people than he actually does. And I feel like he may step naturally into a leader role, which I don't think is going to serve him well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I could see Sean being the type of guy that that potentially does want to bro down and get the guys in together, but then it blows up in his face. And when he gets blindsided at the first troll council, not blindsided in terms of getting voted out, but blindsided by the vote, putting him on the outer. But I do think just by some of his answers, when it's saying, "Oh, Harry thinks it wins the Brisbane Survivor," He's like, immunity, baby. Yeah, that's how I win. I feel like we're gonna get like some really nice, like cocky leader energy from him, which I'm all for as well. And I definitely think he'll be. I definitely think he'll also be a character that I also see him if he does resume that leader role and it does work out for him. That he could be someone that people naturally gravitate to. He does seem to have like a pretty good head on his shoulders based off what we're reading.
Yeah, for me, I think I rate what you guys were both saying about how he might be willing to bro down and it's going to backfire on him. That sounds plausible. For me, a big red flag is his favorite player is Sean. Which he's obviously talking about Sean Coombs, but there's an obvious reason why he's picked that player.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he's ringing losing finalist, 0 vote finalist here for Sean, or 1 vote finalist here for Sean, maybe.
Yeah, I do love the fact that he's like, he hates people who don't listen, and that people are, hates people that are just douchebags. Like, I resonate with that because I just can't stand a douchebag. Like, not so much the listening, because I do listen. I just have a really shit memory. So, but I kind of have that short fuse when it comes to people like not looking at you when you speak, that kind of vibe. I get that about him as well. So I don't feel like he's going to do the bro down thing. I actually think he's going to want to work with the girls, but I don't think the girls are going to want to work with him.
So do we have a boot placement for Sean?
Yeah, I have him pretty low, unfortunately. I have Sean at 8. So 3rd boot.
It's an exclusive club being a 3rd boot.
Here's your position, Astyn.
I'm sorry, Astyn. I promise I won't bring it up again. But yeah, for me,
bring it up all the time.
Yeah, look. After this, cast reveal, or by the time the season ends, Astyn's probably gonna have to put some sort of like refraining order for me mentioning his Canberra placement. But yeah, for me though, with Sean, I feel like I stand by. I feel like he's going to be. I still think he's going to be trying to be that leader, but I don't think it's necessarily going to work out. I think he'll get blindsided by the vote, and I have him as a 2nd boot from Orange, but I am finishing in 7th place overall.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think I would like to change my vote, but I'm going to stick with it. I've got him 5th boot, so he'll make merge, and I think he'll be a big target at the merge by just everyone. Be that, even though they're all challenge capable, I think he'll be the one that everyone wants to get out for it.
So when did you say merge? When do you think merge is going to happen again, Astyn?
I think 8.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think
so
early.
If it's 8, how many boys have you got in your merge tribe? Because I know what you're like.
If I was there, I would have 5.
Of course you would.
But
Brad would be one of them.
But I'm not there, so 3.
3. Oh, okay. Well, I will say, I do think the females are very strong this season.
Let's go to our last member of the Orange Tribe, Tyler.
Can I say I love Tyler? I'll just put it out there. She's my winner pick. I think that she's got the best connections, and even though she says that there's more people saying that they are friends with her than she is saying she's friends with. I think she does need to manage that quite carefully. But I feel like she's got a really good depth of hobbies. I think that, she's talking about Cochrane as a favorite player. That means she's got a little bit of nerd in her, which I absolutely love. She's probably a little bit geeky, which, I stand a good geeky Survivor nerd. She talks about being a strong, a strategic player and wanting to, that she wants to put her understanding of the game and her skills to the test. Like, I love that for her. I feel like that she's got this in the bag. Like, I could be really wrong, but I really think that she's going to social queen her ass off and make it all the way to final 2 or 3 and bring home that crown.
Your thoughts, James? Yeah, I also have high hopes for Tyler. I think she'll do very well. She'd seem, out of everyone on the cast, I mean, it seems like she probably has more of a she definitely seems like she has more than just a surface level knowledge of Survivor. She seems like she actually kind of probably knows the game, very well, and kind of be able to utilize and manipulate those relationships she has, or the pre-existing relationships she has, to move forward in the game. Obviously, but the biggest concern, obviously, for Tyler is, at the same time, is those connections. I mean, is it too many where people are like, no, we've got to get rid of her early? What are your thoughts on that, Astyn?
So I think initially she's going to be really safe. Early portion of the game, I think she could really have a pick of whatever she wants to do, really. I think the game hedges on how well she wants to play. Super fans they have the ability to play a super smart game, but they also have a tendency to play a super aggressive game that blows up quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I think being a fan of the game, she'll know how to do what James couldn't, and that is go high and pull back, go high and pull back. I don't see her like doing a chart like James like this. I do see her having little peaks and troughs, and I see her managing her relationships a little bit better than James. She may not be as entertaining as the orca. She might be a little bit more low-key like myself, but I do kind of feel like she has and I agree with your point, Astyn, as like I feel like she's probably got the best knowledge of the game from the limited information that we have.
I think a big question mark everyone is thinking is the Liam ex-boyfriend connection.
Yes, because let's face it, this could make or break her. 100%.
One thing I think is possible is, like, she does say that one of her hobbies is watching Survivor, which is super fan.
Yeah.
But as an ex-boyfriend, Liam would certainly know that.
But also, would you look at it as you want to keep, and I could kind of tell, well, my gut feel is that he's also going to be a super fan. So wouldn't you look at each other as shields? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, regardless of whether you are or aren't on good terms, having that person who who also knows how to strategize. I don't know, like, if it was me, like, I look at James, like, I like James. I wanted to play with James. James was, stabbing me in the back all the time. But at the end of the day, I wanted to work with the enemy that I knew, not the devil that I didn't. You know what I mean? So I feel like that could be what works for them. And I do feel like Taylor will use, I'm so sorry, I don't know whether it's Taylor or Tyler. I'm just going to go with Taylor. I feel like she's going to use Andy and Georgia and Kyle to get rid of Liam. That's kind of in my head how I see that final 5 working out.
All right, that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Liam, Liam being the ex-boyfriend, is going to be a very interesting dynamic.
I agree. Do we want to see?
Yeah.
What would we prefer? This is my question because I'm a little bit evil. So, would we prefer that they're on good terms, or would we prefer that they're not on good terms? Like, not on good terms is going to make far more interesting TV, right?
That would be amazing.
I don't think Sam's that evil though. Sam is not as evil as us 3. So I kind of feel like Sam wouldn't cast them if they weren't on good terms. Could be wrong.
Yeah, or I feel like there could be maybe potentially like a lot of cross tribe like trash talk and sledging. Like, hey, Liam, remember that time we got the hairs on the sofa in the shower, or just kind of like kind of trash talking, trying to get in his head a little bit, which would certainly be entertaining. That would be as well, and especially because Liam seems like the type of guy who could give it back.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, I also wonder too, do we know whether this is just a one-day game?
Yes, it is a one-day game. Okay,
yeah. Because I could imagine like if there was a little bit of a sleepover kind of situation happening that there, you might be a few more people like Ma from our season throwing out the fact that he's in the snorkestra, just trying to throw anything to get him under the bus,
What's your? So you've got her as winner pick, Mel.
Tyler, I have as winner pick, number 1 queen.
And James.
I have Tyler making it close at the end, but just falling short. I think if it's the final 2, I think Tyler will come third. I think she'll be the person that gets voted out before the final trial will cancel. But if it's the final 3, I think that she will be the runner-up.
Okay,
but we'll say. I think it's going to be final 2, so I'll say that she'll come third.
Okay.
Oh, you're giving her a fallen angel edit.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah, especially with those connections as well, because that may come back to bite her, knowing all those people being like, having been friends and being associated with a lot of them.
Yeah, fair point.
I'm going to go full Kim Spradlin here. Kim Spradlin edit, and Tyler's going to completely steamroll with the girls.
I stand Kim, so I'm happy with that.
First 5 boots will be guys.
Woo! So you got her as your winner pick too?
Yeah.
Astyn, like you and I. Sorry, James, you're no longer my BFF. Astyn, we must video chat for 4 hours every week now. James, you're dropped.
It's okay, Mel. I knew the tides were changing the minute you voted me out. For absolutely no reason. I was the most loyal person to you in the game, and
bullshit. Say that knife out of my back. Whatevs.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much the Rogers tribe. But do we all? It kind of feels like we feel like the Rogers tribe is going to have a bigger presence at Merge. Am I reading that right from the 2 of you?
I think I personally think they're going to have less numbers. I've got them being 2 down the very first before the merge, but I think their connections with Liam and Georgia on the other tribe will give them the numbers.
Yeah, cool. I have 3 and 3. I mean, in my head, it's merging at 6, and I have it at 3 and 3, but I'm swaying it towards orange because again, exactly as you, I feel like Georgia and Liam give them the swing.
should we move on to the? I don't know how to pronounce this, but it looks like Soames.
Let's just go with Blue Tribe, Astyn.
We'll start with Alex. The geneticist.
Alex.
Don't ask me what that is.
So Alex is the
Sounds
one
smart.
that has not seen Survivor, right? He's not even seen a full episode.
Only highlight reels.
Yeah, and he's a I don't even know how to spell pronounce his occupation, but he's smart.
Well, when you can't pronounce an occupation, when you can't pronounce the occupation, it's probably like that takes a lot. That's a big brain.
Well, it's probably more to do with the fact that my Barack juice is empty, and I'm going to fill it up shortly. But I do kind of feel like Liam. I'm just looking at the Blue Tribe from my perspective, right? And I do feel like Liam is quite connected with, I think he's really connected with Hayley. And I kind of feel like he's going to want to have a bromance or have more guys around him than anyone else because he's going to need that shield factor. So I feel like of all the boys, he's going to try and pull in Alex as his shield, even though Alex has no real Survivor knowledge. I feel like Liam is going to use Alex to his full advantage. He's one of the few that says he's not into sports. So will be interesting to see how he goes in terms of challenges. And then his little bit about what is the one thing you should know about before playing Survivor, and that he sleeps with a giant toy shark, like in bed. I don't quite know what that's about. But that feels like if I was James, and I know James quite well now, I feel like James would look at Alex like, my golden little shield, and I'm going to make him my BFF for life or for this foreseeable future of the game and ride him as far as I get to merge in my other connections. That's how I see. That's
The
what I
orca
see.
and the shark working side by side.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I laughed a bit. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're right. Go, James.
Oh, I was just saying, I love the comment where it's like he sleeps next to a giant toy shark, so he's accustomed to dangerous situations. I think that shows he has a really good sense of humor, as well. I think, but the fact that he sleeps next to a giant toy shark, that reminds me of like the photo in Canberra where it has you sleeping next to Scully, Mel.
My little mate.
So I think we need like a side by side, like kind of who did it better.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe Alex and I should become besties, and we can have our photos with our sharks and skulls. And what's more scary, a shark or a skull?
Yeah. Hey, well, maybe rumor has it that potentially that skull could be the skull of a shark.
I should bring my skull up. I'm going to have to disappear in a minute, so I might have to bring the skull up in it when I come back.
But no, in terms of what I think about Alex, I feel like the fact he hasn't seen much Survivor may work in his advantage, because I feel like he's going to be trying to be dynamic and try a few different things. But also, I could also see him being like a loyal, someone picking him up as like a loyal number to use and to be able to work through the game with. So I have high hopes for Alex, despite the fact he hasn't seen a lot of Survivor, because sometimes not being familiar with the game can actually be an advantage, because you're not overthinking, you're kind of playing everything in the situation on its merit in front of you.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that front. He does give off a goofy vibe, not goofy in a good way, in which people will get along with him, and in short games like this, like high-level gameplay isn't a sure lock to win you the game. You know, being the most likable person in the final three, he does have some merit, I feel.
No, 100%. 100% agree. And I think I'm also expecting Alex to be, you know, I'm expecting to be a big character as well, you know, provide a bit of laughs for the audience and with his antics, because, yeah, that sort of goofy nature. And, yeah, and it definitely seems like, yeah, like a nice, really just like chill dude with a good sense of humor. And I feel like there's something that people are going to be drawn to.
One thing I do think that if Alex does get to the merge, and I'm just trying to look at where I actually put him, I'm even like doubting my little boot list now, because the one thing that I'm sort of thinking that may very well happen is I think Alex and Kyle are going to get on exceptionally well. So I feel like from a merge perspective, if my boot list is going to be wrong, it's because those two like potentially like connected and have their own little bromance, because I think they'll both be pretty funny. But yeah, I want to see Alex with a selfie with his little shark bed, like my little guy, which I just brought for him. So I think Alex should definitely bring a little selfie to the party somewhere during the season with his little shark.
Yeah, that'll be good. What's your boot placement for him?
I have Alex at 6, so that would make him 5th boot.
Yeah, I have Alex as my runner-up. I feel like he's going to have someone that he's going to be able to form a really good connection with, and then be able to get all the way to the end with them. But I also feel like he's charismatic enough to be able to keep people inside where they don't want to vote him out. So I have high hopes for Alex, but yeah, ultimately I see him as the runner-up, losing to my winner pick, which we'll get to pretty shortly.
For me, I've got him as 4th boot.
4th boot.
And the reasoning behind this is I've got another person at 3rd boot. This would be, for me, just after the merge. So yeah. I have him heavily aligned with the merge boot. And I think that's going to be the reason why he gets taken out at 4th.
Interesting. Can I just bring up one other point that, as I've been looking at his photo in the last few minutes, does anyone feel like, and I know Sam, but not very well, like I've met him once at an event, and I think he's a great guy, but I'm looking at the photo of Alex now, and I'm wondering if there's any relationship between Sam and Alex, because I feel like they've got very similar eyes, nose and mouth combination. I could be really wrong. You know, the fact that Alex has got a full head of hair and Sammy doesn't really, but I don't know.
On that topic, Mel, I do know that Sam does have relations on the cast.
Get out of town. Oh my God, have I just uncovered a secret relationship?
I'm going to put him up right now.
Oh my God, no way.
Here we were thought like Mel was out with like a little just looking through just with a magnifying glass, just like uncovering big Brisbane Survivor mysteries, and then
I really thought I was onto something.
It's not Alex, it's Nick.
It's Nick, and we've all given him the first boot, and then after this podcast, Sam's going to give us the boot.
Well, I'm expecting someone who's watching just to do like a compilation of like Mel's like scenario here, but like put like the X-Files music over the top of it.
That's something you would do, James.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny actually. So an online game I played one time, I had to do a confessional. And there was someone in the merge that had found the idol and I didn't know who. So I literally made a confessional with like the X-Files music, me like trying to looking like scanning a room, trying to find like different clues. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our
Good
second
idea.
member of the Blue Tribe.
I told you need to reel us in. So we're talking
You.
Georgia.
Georgia, you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Georgia.
say.
You go, James.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just so excited to be able to finally reveal my winner pick. Georgia,
Oh.
I think she's got this in the bag. Yeah, she has a few connections, but not too many connections at the same time. The one thing I loved what she said, she thinks that she's a silent assassin, but that she's very much like going to be someone who's going to be able to go under the radar, but also has that experience, sports and having that physical edge, but also the mental game as well. But not only with her being able to go under the radar, the fact that she has said that she describes herself as really laid back and calm, as well, I think will hold her in good stead to be able to really be able to cruise through and people to be able to really underestimate her, as well. So I think she'll also be savvy enough to be able to cut the people she needs, regardless of her pre-existing relationships with them. So I've got her as my winner pick, and yeah, I've got high hopes for Georgia. So don't let me down.
Interesting. I think she'll do well. I don't have her as a winner pick, obviously, but I do have Georgia as my third place. I feel like she's got a really good mix of. She talks about the fact that she can play physical, but I also feel like she's going to be the fact that she's talked about that she's on the honors program. She's obviously a really smart person. She plays sport. She's very physical, and she's a threat because of her mental game. I feel like she's a triple threat. I do feel like she's going to be in potentially a final three, but I also feel like the connection between Andy and Tyler is going to be ultimately more strong. I look at the three girls as the final three, but I think the fact that Tyler and Andy are friends, and the friendship from Georgia comes in through a boyfriend or a brother. So I feel like she would sit third out of the three. I could be wrong. Maybe it's going to be, but I do feel like she's in that top three. And I think she's going to be one to watch. I also think potentially with her laid back nature, she's another one that will get on really well with Kyle. You can see her, having a little bit of a chill fest and them having a bit of a vibe mans.
Well, I think that's really cool. I think, with that laid nature, I had to actually kind of partner with Alex, to be honest. I feel like, they kind of know each other, but not too much. Yeah. But I feel like, where Alex can really bring out a sense of humor, where Georgia looks like she's going to be really fun, but chilled and laid back. That I could see them, forming a really tight pairing and going all the way to the end together.
Yeah, it's interesting because she says that she doesn't know Kyle, but Kyle says he sort of knows her. So, I mean, all these like weird variances on the connections, I'm finding hilarious because it's like, do they know of them through other people, or are they just like, didn't stand out to me? What do you think, Astyn?
For me, I agree with you, Mel. I've got her as third place. Ooh. Either just missing out on the final or being in the final three. My biggest question mark on it doesn't actually reference how much she knows about Survivor, which gives me question marks. I do think that Andy is going to be a blind spot for her. Like I feel like it's easier to blindside a friend, but how do you blindside your boyfriend's sister?
Oh, you're easy.
This could really be a result of, after the season's done, Andy saying to her brother, look, don't break up with her. There's red flags.
Hey.
She's all.
We've seen some drama before after LRG, so wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. I can see her being blindsided, though. I hear your point, Astyn, and that's why I have put her in 3.
Yeah, it's 3 for me.
Cool. So next is Hayley.
The next person we got is Hayley.
Yeah. I'm finding her quite interesting because she's got pretty low connections, but the connections that she has are with the 2 people that have the most connections.
Yeah.
And she, apart from those 2 people, she doesn't know anyone else in the cast, even slightly. So that I did take that into consideration, but I feel like the fact that she knows both Liam and Tyler is going to work to her advantage. I feel like Liam's going to want to bring in Alex and use Hayley as their main 3 in that blue tribe. And I feel like once they get to a merge situation, Hayley's contacts with the girls are going to win her that place and give the other girls the ammunition to vote out Liam, who I think is ultimately going to be the second biggest threat of the season. But I think the girls, I'm all girl power this season. Let's do it, girls.
For me, I really do like Hayley. I think she comes across to me as one of the more knowledgeable players. She seems to have watched quite a bit of Survivor, which is good. Yeah. Connections, question mark. Yes, she's close with Liam and she's close with Tyler.
Yeah.
In my decision making, I actually put that down as a negative for her. Mainly because I feel like the girls will take her out for being aligned to Liam, earlier in the game.
But would that work in Blue Tribe though? Because she's the only other girl outside of Lily.
No, I just mean at the end, once they merge. I think she'll make the merge. But yeah, but now that I'm thinking about it, I do think she's got a lot of potential to do really well. I don't think she's got that winning equity about her, but
yeah,
I think, I think she'll go deep into the game.
Yeah, I feel like she's got that humbleness to her. And I feel like she's probably someone that, I had a laugh at her last point. What's the thing that we should know about you before playing before playing? And I'm really bad at living. I feel like she's got that self-deprecating humor that will endear her to her castmates. But I also feel like along with that comes a sense of humbleness. And if she does manage to get to the final 3, which I haven't placed her at, I think I have her at 4. I'll double check in a minute. I feel like she's not going to be a bragger, and I can really relate to that. I'm not a bragger. I hate that in people. It's probably one of my pet peeves. James, that's why I voted you out. But I feel that about her. I feel she's going to be humble and maybe not be able to sell herself as well as some of the other players.
I'm going to tell you, I'm humble. But no. With Hayley, I think, she says she's a bit of a fan. She's seen quite a fair bit of Survivor, fair bit of the seasons, which is great. But when she's sort of saying, she'll win, and now which session she says, using logic and reasoning to get people to agree. I feel like some people could really perceive that as a bit of a red flag, as like maybe overplaying a little bit, and but not necessarily intentionally, but they feel like she's probably playing harder than what she actually may be, and I feel like that could really blow up in her face, especially with her saying that she's not a great liar. Hayley, yeah, I think it's very high variance. I feel like she could make it really deep, or she could be, one of the first few boots. So either way, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I also feel like her lack of connections as well is also probably going to potentially work against her.
So what have you placed her at?
I'm sorry, Hayley. I'm sure you're a really nice person, but I've got her as the third boot, so finishing 8th.
Interesting, because some of that use logic and reasoning to get people to agree. I feel like that's orca traits, and I feel like if there isn't Anna of the season, there's going to be issues for Hayley, because let's face it, that didn't work for you, James. So I also, for that reason, have Hayley sitting at 7th, which is 4th boot. I do kind of feel like that humbleness and that, looking to reason isn't so survivorish. I feel like you need to be able to manipulate a little bit more rather than actual using of logic, because we all know there's some people in the game that aren't very logical and aren't going to agree with you.
Dig.
Sorry, was that too obvious?
I've got her at 5th place, so that was 6th boot.
Oh, yeah.
The first of my women to get voted out.
Okay. Cool. I like her though. I think I do think she's going to be like her namesake in Canberra. I feel like she's going to be a bit of a social queen. I just don't think that she'll be as strong as Hayley was in our season.
I kind of see her as more introverted. Like if you look at kind of the thing I could like is that was a little bit dire.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yo, Liam.
Now, personally, this is the guy that I'm rooting for. This is my art. This is the archetype that I support. Basically, your uber alpha male who's strategic, good at challenges, and just perfect all rounder.
I mean, this is the orca. There's no denying it. This is the orca, and it's also the Brad of this season. I agree. I think Liam is a standout. If you look at just connections alone, in my grading, he's 1 point under his ex, Taylor, which I'm sure would really piss him off, the fact that she's got one more connection than him. But I genuinely think he is going to be balls to the wall. He's going to be all strat. He's going to be full out at challenges. And I think he's going to be super entertaining. He does say that he's too competitive for his own good, which is a conversation that I had with James yesterday. And I do feel like in order for him to win, he is going to have to practice what I preach to James, and that is peak and receive. Peak and receive. If he can do that, he stands a chance. But if he is like James with his rah energy, I don't feel that from him. I feel like he's going to go all guns blazing. And again, so much to do with how his relationship is currently with Taylor. But I have him sitting at finishing at 5, which would make him my six boot. What's that? 5, 6 boot. Yeah. Yeah, I like him though. I think he looks really experienced. I think he's got a really good all-round nature. He's even got your pose, James, like with the little.
Yeah, I reckon he's better than me. I'm a bit of competition.
He's got the intensity that you lacked.
Right.
You had a girly like knee over stance. He's just like all masculine in your face. Love you. Oh, James has paused at a really frozen at a really bad. So how about you go ahead?
Very fair though. Yeah, that's very fair. I was saying everything was that. Everything is saying.
James, we missed all of that because you were doing a really weird frozen pause. So start all over again, James. Or not. Astyn.
Yeah, so one I do like he's got quite a good self-awareness by the looks of it. He knows that he's coming in with a target on his back, which for me signals that everyone that he knows that he's a fan.
Yeah.
And I really do think that it's going to be one of those things where they take him out like as a laugh, you know what I mean? It's like let's vote him out, just for the lols.
I love that he puts there that he wants to survive my way through every single hour and not a day, which goes to the fact that he knows he's going to be a threat, and he's well aware of people knowing who he is and his nature and how he's going to play the game. But I still feel like he's going to have the connections and I also think the social savviness to be able to work his way through. I don't have him that high because I do think regardless of how far he gets, he's always going to be a threat. And I think the women in particular, his ex, is going to be very well aware of that. And I have him at finishing 5th, which is the 6 boot.
James?
Yeah, everything that you guys have said, I fully agree about Liam. I feel like I see a lot of myself in him. In just regards with what I'm reading, I feel like he's gonna probably like come in really guns ho like a bullet in a china shop, and here to cause like a bit of chaos, have a bit of fun, but really be there to play hard and sometimes let his competitive nature take over. I also have him pigeonholed for the villain of the season as well. I think he's going to be a really entertaining character, and I've such high hopes for Liam as well, especially because he does seem to know a fair bit about the game. So I have him forming like a really core alliance with Alex and Georgia, and if they can engineer that, it could really set him up. But I feel like they will cut him at some point, like you said, Astyn, just for a bit of a laugh, for the lols, or because he is potentially being a bit too much of a threat or perceived threat.
Yeah, shame. I think there's a real merit in.
Boot placement is that?
I agree with Mel. I also have him coming 5th.
Okay, I think there's a real merit in the fact that people are going to try and use him as a shield, which is exactly what I did with James. So and John. John and I both had the same strat. So sorry, James. We love you there.
For me,
well, actually, it's I take back what I said before about the skull you had being Alex's shark. It was actually my head after you voted me out.
This is your head.
Personally, for me, I see it like I do like him at 5th so 6th boo. But I actually think it's going to be earlier than that. I think they're going to take him out. I think they're going to take him out at the merge for me. So he'll be the merge boot at 8.
Okay.
3rd boot. I think as soon as he crosses over, he's going to think everything's good. He's got all these numbers. Tyler wants to work with him, but really they're all going behind his back, and he's going to be.
Poor Liam. I hope we're right and not you, Astyn.
Oh, me too. Honestly, I want him to win. I really want him to pull it out and take the win.
All right. And our last player is Lily.
So, another sibling of the host, Sam.
Oh,
We have Lily.
Wow. Okay, I'm really upset now if this is the case, and this is Sam's family, because I've really underrated them, but I feel like my review on them is genuine. Like, they have zero connections apart from each other. It's interesting that, like, sorry, but I'm just still spinning out about the fact that Sam looks completely like someone else and not his actual siblings. But I haven't rated the siblings very well at all, and purely because of their lack of connection. I will say that I feel like Lily is going to do better than her brother, and I've rated Lily at 9, but honestly it's because she kind of knows like only one person, and so she knows her brother. That's a bit sad in the game. And she kind of knows Sean, which is her brother's mate. So I don't know, like, I still feel like even though her brother probably knows more people, or does he? No. Oh, so they have exactly the same connection. I still feel like being the girl, and I feel like she's actually the youngest cast member. I could be really wrong, but I feel like she's going to be a bit of a social.
Definitely one of them, one of the youngest.
Yeah, she looks like one of the youngest, and she's really like into her sport, and out of all the girls, she's very much into all of the masculine sport that traditionally isn't for girls. So good on her. I'm really loving the fact that she's a strong role model for young females. I do kind of feel like when she talks about her frustrations being lack of resilience or arrogance or condescending people, I feel like that leads me to her being maybe a little bit confrontational. I kind of love that about her, if that is her as a genuine person, being so young and like not afraid to like stand up for herself. I love that for a young female, but in the game of Survivor, probably not so much. And she doesn't really have, like, a lot of them when they talk about their favorite Survivor players, she doesn't have that. So it makes me wonder how much of a fan she actually is and how much she knows about the game. So I feel like that in consideration with her lack of relationships, I kind of have her at the 2nd boot, so finishing 1 spot above her poor brother.
That would be sad.
Yeah. Sad family day.
9th place is an iconic finishing place, though. Yeah, so, yeah. No, I was going to say, if Lily did come 9th, she'd be joining elite company.
Who's that elite company?
It's James.
No. Oh, because right.
This is such a small cast, but
right. Yeah, I guess so.
But James, like, honestly, if this was, I mean, I'm glad you got voted out. I voted you out, but in a cast of 10, it's not really on par with you. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I'm just stirring. But no, I think, going back, actually on a more serious note, I also did not rank Lily very highly. I also had her coming 9th as well. Yeah, I feel like just purely for the lack of connection. But But hey, she could be a social butterfly, someone that does make friends easily, and maybe not having that many connections may actually help her, or may get people to want to actually work with her and use her as a number. But yeah, I personally don't see that happening. But I'd be very interested to see what her journey is like throughout the season. So, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've given her a bit more credit than you two, and a lot more credit than we all gave Nick. But I think she is Sam's sister, and I do think even though she doesn't have those connections with other players, they will be aware of that relationship. And I think they'll kind of see her in like a little bit of a little sister role, and they'll want to, keep her on side.
Okay.
That's just my thinking. Yeah, and I do think that she's going to be a little bit of a spirit animal for the tribe. I think she's going to excel in challenges, and she's going to be like, even though she's one of the youngest, I think she's going to be a bit of a low-key challenge captain for them.
Yeah.
So I've got her at 4th place.
Wow. Well, now that I know that she's Sam, I will say I am contemplating switching Lily with Hayley. But I mean, I've locked it in. I've locked her in at 9, but I'm just calling potentially a 7 spot now.
Well, I've got a question as well. I mean, she says one of the things that frustrate her, the things that frustrate her, lack of resilience, arrogance, condescending attitude towards her or people around her. Could we see her getting in a bit of a rivalry with someone who she perceives to be that? And if so, who?
Yeah, I feel her. I feel that. Like, I'm feeling Mel and Anna vibes. Like, seriously, she could really go head to head with potentially a number of people, but I do feel like she's probably going to go more head to head with a guy. And maybe it's going to be Liam. Maybe it's going to be Alec. I can't really see her going Alex. I can see her going Liam, and I can potentially see her going against Sean, being that if Sean steps into that real leader role, if I'm wrong and she goes further than like second boot and she gets kind of a bit further into a swap tribe, I could probably see her challenging maybe Kyle, who might come across a bit authoritative for her liking.
Well, I think that wraps up the cast assessment. We actually do have the host of Brisbane Survivor, Sam, waiting in the back here, and we'll just bring him in.
And we've been talking forever.
No, I told you it's going to.
Hello.
Hey,
Sammy!
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, so good. So well, nice
You
to see you again.
cheeky with all your little family in here we didn't know about, hey?
A bit fun, isn't it? Just try.
It's very fun.
Keep you on your toes. But
Yeah,
good to see you, Mel. Nice to meet you, James. I've been chatting with you, but haven't actually met you yet. So nice to meet you, mate. And Astyn.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good. Yeah, I've been listening the whole time. So great to hear your thoughts. Great to hear your takes.
What did you think of Mel's detective Alex brother?
So good. I've never been it's never happened with Alex, but my sister Lily often says that I must be adopted because
it's the hair, isn't it, Sam?
I think it's the hair. It's something. We've lost something. But that often happens, especially with me and Lily. People usually pick up on me and Nick, but yeah, with me and Lily, not usually.
Interesting.
So let's fire some questions at Sam. What do we want to know?
Yes, Sam, my first question, sorry, I'm just jumping the gun because it's the one thing I'm dying to know is actually when I feel like I know you've had some issues with getting the season edited, but when was it actually filmed?
Yeah, great question. So it has been a long time coming. We actually filmed in 2020.
Oh my God, I thought it was that, but what month?
January. So this
Oh my
was
God.
this was like just before COVID. So what
Wow,
you're seeing
okay.
now is like, yeah, speaking with the cast now, they're like, I've changed so much. Like things would be so different, or I look so different now. So it's definitely been a while. Lots has been happening behind the scenes, and I think 2020, 2021 was really tough for like lots of people for lots of different reasons. So just to give the space and make sure that when we did produce it, we really wanted it to be something that we were proud of, and other people could enjoy. So we think it's at a point where that's the case. So
they must be so excited that like I can't imagine what it's like to wait that long. Like I know that the Melbourne Peaks probably know that feeling, but like for us in Canberra, we're right on that year mark. So I can't imagine what it's like to wait 3 years. Like like people could literally have 2 babies in that time. It's insane.
Well, it's funny because some of the intros that you'll hear actually talk about their lives, and their lives are not that anymore. Like there's like an extra kid. One of our producers on the day, he didn't have any kids at the time, and he's got 2 now. So it's like just life happens, and it is unfortunate that it took that long, but like I said, it's just one of those things you can't really help. So
no, that's exactly right. And I love the fact that you wanted it to be a quality product and you were happy to wait for the right circumstances. So, I think that's, in my mind, it's automatic respect to you and what you bring to the brand.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
100%.
So filming in January, it's going to be a fucking hot one for them.
Yeah, you'll see the weather is it's quite we were in a bit of a tricky time with lots of rain, really hot. So you might see a little bit of all of it.
I can imagine like with the being in January and the weather being really hot, it's like you have the sports and it's like, all right guys, water break, and then you bring out like the oranges at the break from to really able to refuel. Which would be iconic. But I guess one thing we want to know in terms of how does sort of Brisbane Survivor will start up for you, sort of Sam, in terms of getting it up and running, or what was the idea behind it for yourself?
Yeah,
or a vision.
I've loved Survivor for a long time. I'd seen some of the earlier stuff in the US, but from season 20 pretty much is when I'd been like, so that's Heroes vs. Villains in the US. And since then, I've just been like nonstop into Survivor and watched some, obviously Australian Survivor, New Zealand Survivor, some Survivor South Africa. So I just love it. Quite the fan. And I think I'd always just been like, I actually got the board game. So I've got the, Survivor, the original, actually it's right here. Survivor board game. Here we go. So I'd played this with people and I was like, oh my gosh, like this would be cool to like, extend this over a day and just have like a bunch of people play, adjust the rules a bit and all that sort of stuff. And so that's sort of where the idea came from. And then I stumbled across all the fan-made versions and saw that they were, just like what a cool idea. And it sort of gave me the inspiration to try it out, see how we go. And Backyard was obviously pumping at that stage. And so that was a bit of inspiration. Then Melbourne and all these other ones keep popping up. So that was sort of the journey a little bit. And realizing that Queensland didn't have one, like Brisbane didn't have one, I felt sorry for all the Queensland Survivor fans that had to do a bit of traveling. And so I was like, it'd be cool to have one placed here so that you can give Survivor fans the experience of playing. We don't always get the opportunity to do these things that we love. And so wouldn't it be cool?
No, 100%. And, reality is that, a lot of people who are fans of the show aren't necessarily going to get the opportunity to play on the big screen. So be able to, fulfill that sort of that void and that sort of little bit of fantasy in a way is, certainly something that I'm sure that everyone, loves and enjoys the experience from. Like, I know that all three, like myself, Mel and Astyn, did when we all played Canberra.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a awesome experience. And so, just to give that opportunity here, I think's fun.
I'd like to know, going into the game, obviously, do you have personal relationships with all of the cast? Is that something that we can know? Yeah.
Yeah, you can know that. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, so like season 1, I was obviously, I'm a little bit of a, if I do something, I really want to do it well. And so I didn't really want to let people down by opening up applications too far and wide if it was going to be a complete flop. So these are people that I know. I did cast the net a little bit, and sort of these are the people that, we ended up with at the end. So I do know them to varying degrees, all of them. So it was so interesting to see them play it out. Actually, that was really good fun on the day.
Yeah.
Or is that was that the big reason for the inspiration behind the theme? The people not necessarily wanting to cast that net too far, and or what was the actual inspiration for you behind the theme?
Yeah, I think it was more just giving the opportunity for the audience to be in on the relationships that did exist. When we looked at who we wanted to be on the cast, we really saw there'd be some really cool things possibly come up and come from it. And so by bringing in the audience with that, I think it sort of provides another layer of like intrigue, and people are curious about it. And just to hear your thoughts as you've been talking about it, like, maybe some of the things you got correct, maybe some of the really big jumps that you made just from reading their bio, I think is like so fun. So, so that's been really cool to listen to. So I think the theme just helps the audience come in on what was actually happening. I think you're on mute, Mel.
Yeah, what the heck?
Good work. Thank you. My take on it was that it was a really interesting twist on like blood versus water. I love the fact that there was so many connections, but my question for you is, are they all aware of like the connections, or is that something that will unfold as the season progresses?
Yeah. So, you'll see one of my first lines in the first episode is talking about the theme a little bit, and sort of unpacking the fact that there's a lot of relationships that people are aware of and some that aren't. And so their challenge is going to be how they adapt and learn and grow in the game to make it as far as they can. So, it is interesting, and you'll see some cool conversations. Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. I kind of like that. It kind of throws our little leaderboard in a little bit of jeopardy. Hey, Astyn.
Not mine. Mine's perfect. I've got
well, given that we've got the same top 3, then mine must be perfect as well.
Well, actually, you're actually wrong. George is the winner. I mean, I've predicted that, so it's going to be right. Like, sorry to break it to you guys. Wait, Sam, you can confirm that, right? So, Sam, George is the winner, yeah?
Oh yeah.
You'd love to know, wouldn't you?
I'm interested to know about the location that you filmed at. It kind of looks like it's at a house, but it looks like a big backyard kind of deal.
It's Brisbane backyard.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. So it is in a backyard. You wouldn't pick where it is based on what you'll see. So it's quite suburban, area. But just at a property that we had access to, and it was free. So that's always really good.
Thumbs up for that.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, 100%. That's awesome. One thing I'd also like to know as well, Sam, I just think the perception that Astyn, Mel, and I, we all agree it seems like to be a really physical, kind of competitive, sporting kind of cast. Did you try and cater, some of the challenges around that, all them, or is it kind of really a bit of a mixture of everything as the season goes along?
Yeah, you'll see a bit of a mix of lots of different things. Speaking of physicality, the first challenge, quite physical.
Yeah, see, I thought it was touch, because I was like, there's no way they're doing tackle rugby.
Well, nearly every one of them does like some form of touch footy or e-tag or whatever. So that makes sense.
E-tag?
E-tag.
And meanwhile,
whatever.
there's Alex out there, just on the property, just throwing a line to the river, providing for the tribe, feeding them, getting the campfire lit for them, setting up shelter.
Yeah. So yeah, watch the first challenge.
Yeah, definitely keen for that one.
And it's definitely just a one-day game, right, Sam?
Yep. So just over the 1 day. No overnight this time.
Cool.
I'm interested to know what kind of, like, obviously, it's a smaller game. How much crew did you have on hand to help you run the production?
Great question.
Yeah. We had a pretty small crew, to be honest, and I'm not sure how it compares to other first seasons of other products, but ours was very small, and so the product that you'll see is we've learned a lot from the process, obviously, but the product you'll see is, I think we've done really well at capturing the story with the amount of crew that we did have. So we had 5 people on cameras or production. We had 2 people on challenges and all the setup and everything. And then, a couple of other people as well. And myself as the host, who was also doing a lot behind the scenes. So, so it is quite a small crew, but we'll be taking applications soon for people to apply for season 2 and to apply for castings. So I meant for crew. So if you're keen, please jump on board. We'd love to extend the crew.
I'll be crewing for you, Sammy.
Oh, thank you.
I've for reference, I think Canberra, which I think is probably the smallest production out of Melbourne and backyard, from what I know.
Yeah.
I think season 1 we had maybe like 20 max, but people came and went, so we didn't always have 20 people on hand.
Yeah.
But obviously we started with 16, so there's a lot more filming to be done, and like obviously a lot was missed in our season too. So there's definitely limitations to how much you can capture depending on your crew size.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we all know that Canberra has weather challenges, so I'm sure that's not an issue that Brisbane has to face in January. But that would come with that would come with its own set of challenges. To be filming in January in the heat of summer in Brisbane, that's not an easy thing to be outdoors all day. So like, how do you, I mean, I know that you're hosting, but you're also present on site all day, as are the crew and the cast. So how did they find that? Because it's not, I go to Brisbane frequently. I know how hot it can be. I know how humid and tropical it is. Was that an issue for any of the cast or crew?
Yeah, it was quite a hot and muggy and wet period of time when we were filming, and we were actually really worried about the weather on the day because it'd been raining a lot prior, and it was going to be raining a lot after, and there was this like window of a day that seemed in the weather to be okay, and this is when it was scheduled for. So you'll see the season play out, and you'll see it's like you're going in, every episode is like you're going into a completely different day. We had the extremes of the weather, like it's so crazy. So you'll see it's just, you get the full spectrum, I think, of weather. We didn't have any snow, but all the other stuff probably in there.
Wow, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that play out.
Yeah.
Unlike just our torrential rain of Canberra.
Yes. Absolutely.
Do we have any final questions for Sam? Just so we can wrap it up, because we've got to get to the questions before 2 hours.
My biggest question for Sam is really like, I know there was a long time in from filming and to production and to your release. So I just want to get your thoughts and your feedback on how you felt like overall the season sits to where your expectations were.
Yeah, great question. I was so happy after the season happened. You never know how it's going to go, but I think the whole team were really like, oh my gosh, like we pulled this off. And I think the cast had a really good time as well. And so I hope that comes across in what you see. Because I think we had a great time. Like I said, we learned a lot, but like that's what happens, especially in first seasons, and you continue to learn. But I was really stoked actually with the day, but also just what I've seen from a production point of view afterwards. CJ Visuals has been our main production company, and just quality stuff. Like, it's just really, really cool. So I'm excited for everyone to see.
Awesome. We're excited to see it.
Excited to see it. I've got one last question as well before we let you go, Sam. In terms of what is the signature of Brisbane Survivor? Like, what do you feel like is going to differentiate, Brisbane from, like, say, other LRG communities around Australia and franchises?
Yeah, cool. I hope it adds something a little bit different, but still sticking with the Survivor essence, I hope that people appreciate maybe our episodes are a little bit shorter, so it is quite fast and it is quite jam-packed. And so you'll also see in our editing style, I think, a different way to bring some of the stuff across, and particularly in the challenges and those sorts of things. So you might pick up on those things that are slightly different and not necessarily better, because I think the LRGs that exist in Australia are so cool, and there is a diversity in the products that we see. But I think Brisbane will, have a different place in that maybe. So,
Awesome.
100%.
Awesome.
No worries, Sam. We'll let you go.
Thank you so much. It has been incredible to chat with you and to listen to your thoughts. And I can't wait for it all to unfold in the season. It's going to be so cool. And
us too.
Yeah, we can't wait to watch, Sam. Like, since I met you, I've been really keen to see this, and I feel like it's like taken this to this, and now we're finally here. And I'm really, really excited, and it looks like a great cast, and just the connections and how they are going to weave it, I'm finding really fascinating. So I'm super keen. I'm backing my girl Tyler. Am I saying it right, by the way? Is it Tyler or Taylor?
Tyler, yeah.
You did say it wrong the whole...
I'm backing my girl Tyler. I want to put her
Amy,
little crown right
Anna,
here.
Amy, Anna.
Amy, Anna, whatever. Like, it's always going to be Amy.
Bubblegum jacket.
Always going to be Amy. But I want to get her name right, because she deserves respect. Tyler. She put a little crown right here. Oh, that's Tyler. My girl.
So good. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, and we'll chat soon.
Sam.
Cheers, Sammy.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
No worries, James. Do we want to get onto these quick fire questions?
Absolutely, guys. So,
wrap it up.
Absolutely. I've got some rapid fire questions for you guys. So, couple word answers. Quick, short, sharp. Here we go. So, out of the players, who is the most likely to be the hero of the season, and who's most likely to be the villain?
For me, villain is Liam, 100%. No question. He is going to crucify people. And then I feel like the hero... I don't think it's going to be Tyler. You said Tyler. I feel like maybe Andy or Kyle. Whatever. Whichever. You know what I'm talking about, Astyn. Andy or Kyle.
Right. Oh, yeah. Villain for me, I'll go Liam. He'll be the biggest villain. And the hero, I'm gonna go underdog player. Fans usually love to root for an underdog, and I will go for Lily.
Oh,
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So question number 2. Which player do you think will be the target of an unsuspecting blindside on themselves?
cute. Nick.
I'm gonna go with Liam's an obvious one, so I'm not gonna go with Liam. I'm gonna go with Sean.
Perfect. All right. Question one that's a bit more lighter. Out of all the players, which one is giving off the vibe that they would not be a fan of pineapple and pizza?
Who is?
Who's not gonna like pineapple pizza? Jesus. They're gonna be a weirdo. I'm gonna go with Alex.
Oh no, Alex loves pineapple on pizza. You know.
Yeah, Alex I reckon would froth it.
All right. I'm going to Nick. Nick.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
Nick-
gonna go with just a bit of a off the rails one. Andy. I think she strikes me as a person that doesn't like pineapple on pizza.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, no disrespect, Andy, if listening, but Andy gives me like big vegan kind of vibes. Like for some reason, I don't know. If it's
Is that meant to be? Why is that a offensive thing?
no. Oh,
Like, no,
you know, no, it's
wow,
right. It's a lifestyle. You know. Moving on. What is one Survivor cliche or saying that you're hoping that Sam will adopt into his commentary either during a challenge or at Tribal Council?
Balls.
Oh, you stole mine. Oh, referencing big meaty men all the time.
Yeah, or meat tray. Like referencing balls or, all those JLP innuendos.
Well, yeah, taking nut after nut after.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope that's Sam. I actually don't think it's Sam, but I hope it's Sam.
All right. Next one, number 5. Will we see an all-male or an all-female alliance take out the opposing sex?
Female, 100%.
Definitely.
I feel like this is the
Definitely.
season of the female.
All
Go
female.
girls. Sorry, Brad.
Yeah, sorry, Brad, you loser.
All right. Who do you think will be the king or the queen of quick-witted quips or quotes in their confessionals? Or will we get someone giving themselves a self-proclaimed nickname?
Orca.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see someone being as orca as James, but I do feel like Nick is going to be a short-lived icon. I feel like he's going to give us a really great character moment, but I don't see it lasting much more than episode 1. And I also feel like Liam is going to go balls to the wall and give us some great content.
Yeah, for me, I think someone who stands out as someone who would be quick-witted quips is, I think Tyler will be pretty good at it. I think she'll give us some good Liam disses along the way. And if someone's going to give themselves a nickname, I'm going to go with Captain Sean.
All right, okay, respect. All right, next one. Based on the cast, which player would you predict to pay the bill for everyone at a dinner party?
Oh, it's got to be what's his face, Sean. Like, he's the oldest.
Yeah, I think so.
He seems the most maturest. He's probably got the most regular job. In fact, didn't he have the job that I couldn't pronounce? I'm going with
Sean was a carpet layer.
Oh,
Alex
all right. I'm going Alex.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with civil engineer Liam.
Oh. Actually,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good job. I'm still sticking with Alex.
Okay. In return, who's most likely to be the tight ass, order the soup, and then make a quick exit to avoid paying their share?
Nick.
Yeah. No.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna go.
Who are you going?
I'm gonna go with someone. No, he's in the background. I'm gonna go with. This is not a diss, right? This is just completely random. But I'm gonna go with who would skip on. It's gotta be Alex.
You know what? I'm changing my mind. I reckon
It's
it's
gotta be the
Lily. She's
genetic.
going to be that sweet girl. She's going to be that sweetie that like, oh, I'm so sweet, but you pay for everything. So I'll go for Lily.
All right. So next, number 9. So 10 more to go. Which player will be the most underestimated by everyone else?
I am actually going to go. I'm going to let you take this one first, Alice.
Okay. I will go Haley.
Ooh. I am going to go. I'm actually going to go Andy.
Yeah, Andy was my second pick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Actually,
nice.
sorry, James, I'm really curious on your answer to that question.
I think my answer will be my winner pick, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, I think she's. I think the fact that she's going to be able to play under the radar and really sort of like use her laid back personality, I think she's going to be able to hide a lot of potentially ruthless gameplay.
Yeah.
All right. Who's likely to be the Mel of the season and forget the name of another player and call him by another name?
Really, James?
It's got to be Nick. Nick doesn't know anyone, so it's got to be Nick. And he's going to call Tyler Taylor, and it's going to get him voted out.
I don't really agree with that. I feel like Nick is smart and he's competitive. I don't feel like that's his vibe. I am feeling like, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone, but I kind of get Kyle is probably going to have that same attitude as me in terms of like, yeah, whatever, like a name's a name. I kind of feel Kyle might be like that, and I wouldn't put it past Georgia.
Kyle.
You know, like they kind of got that, yeah, whatever attitude. Amy. Yeah, it's definitely Amy. Just call everyone Amy. You're fine.
Okay. Well, which pair? Oh, sorry, Astyn. You.
No.
Oh, you said Nick, didn't you? Yeah. Which pair will form the most iconic rivalry during the season? So I'm talking about like the Astyn versus Rose, Mel versus Anna, James versus Sophie from Survivor Canberra kind of like rivalries.
It's got to be Liam versus Tyler.
100%. It's got to be. It's going to come down to that showdown. It was that showdown on Winu that we knew was going to happen, but we never got because of the injury. It was going to be James versus Haley, only Haley's ankle like stuffed that whole edit, you know. But I agree with Astyn. There's definitely Taylor v. Liam. If there is any other, putting that aside, because that's fairly obvious. So let's like push ourselves a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of feeling that of Orange, it's going to be Sean that stands out as someone that is going to tick someone else off. So if it's going to be from Blue, I'm going to say it's going to be... I'm just going to go with Lily for the fun of it. That girl says she wants confrontation. So, yeah, why not? Lily versus Sean, and I'm here for Lily.
All right, I'll do that. I'll go Lily versus Haley.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Go Lily.
Okay.
Go Lily. Go Lily.
All right, last question. What are 3 words you're going to use to describe the cast or your excitement for Brisbane Survivor Season 1?
Complex. Sporty. And patient.
All right, I'll go athletic, competitive, and bantery.
Bantery.
Is that even a word?
I want James's
No.
3 words. I want
Like-
your 3 words on this one, James.
My 3 words? Yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive. But at the same time, I also think it's going to be like really light-hearted.
Yeah.
But also, I think there's going to be it's going to be very dynamic.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm so looking forward to episode 1.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait. So I think with that, we can wrap it up. Make sure you stay tuned for next Wednesday at 8:30 Brisbane time. Is that right? Give me a nod, Sam.
Astyn, you're
No,
in charge.
7:30 Brisbane. 7:30 Brisbane.
7:30. Yeah. Brizzy,
So
8:30 Sydney
8:30
time.
AEST. For all you fucking losers around the world.
Yeah, daylight savings. And then I will say, from Sydney perspective, it's only on a week or 2 before we lose daylight saving. So after Easter, I'm pretty sure we're at the same time frame. So it's only the first 2 weeks. I think we're Sydney are an hour behind.
No worries. I'm gonna just run the trailer for those that haven't seen it, and we'll say our goodbyes.
See you guys.
See you later.
See you guys.
Good chatting.
Peace out.